G'day and welcome to another episode of Kiwi Car Life. And these days, some of the most affordable performance BMWs are models from the 1 Series lineup. You can get a 130i like mine with an automatic for around $5 and a sort of moderately tidy 135i like this for a little more than 10. So, which is the best? Do you go for the perhaps slightly more worrying to own but faster and more modifiable N54 powered 135i, or the more reliable naturally aspirated N52? The 130i was the highest performance model of the hatchback lineup, whereas the 135i looks a hang of a lot better. It's got a much more sporty looking bumper at the front and just the back end with that two-door body style and exciting looking taillights. Overall, I just think that it is a better looking car, especially in the blue paint like this. Both of these cars have 3-litre inline 6 engines. The difference is this is an N52. It's naturally aspirated, makes 195 kilowatt and 315 Newton meters of torque, and this is an N54, which has 2 turbochargers bolted to it. Now from factory, these make 225 kilowatts, or around 30 more than this, and 400 Newton meters, which is 85 more than this, so a decent amount more power. But anybody who takes a look under this bonnet will realize that this, despite the fairly standard looking exterior, is by no means a factory N54, although for the video we'll be putting it on a lower boost setting to make it perhaps a little bit more comparable. My one has the 6-speed manual, this one has the 6-speed ZF automatic, but both are available with either an auto or a manual. And finally, on to the interior. If you are looking at buying one of these, it definitely makes sense to get a facelift model. The reason for that is it has a much better iDrive system, but everything else is basically exactly the same. The steering wheel feels great. It's a really nice chunky perforated leather. I love the way that the gauges look in these cars. You've got auto lights, auto wipers, and heated leather seats that are electric with memory adjustment. The stereo system actually sounds really great in these, and if you get a little aux Bluetooth transmitter, you can put it down here, plug it into the aux, and then have your music playing, which is great. A lot of people are like, oh, it's just a 1 Series, you know, but if you get one of these higher end 130, 135i's with a leather interior, M Sport and so on, the steering wheel's great, the leather seats are extremely comfortable and just generally lovely to drive. But now the question is, should you go naturally aspirated or turbo? Let's find out. Driving the 135i Coupe. So as you can see, it is a hang of a lot faster than my car, that's for sure. It really does give you a full idea of what the N54 paired with the ZF6 can do, with effectively an MHD stage 3 tune, injectors, spark plugs, coils, fuel pumps, turbos, everything else you can imagine. The engine, even on this low boost setting, has 0 throttle lag. As soon as you put your foot down, it just goes. And the transmission I'm actually extremely impressed by too. When you tune these, look at how quickly it downshifts, just immediate, and then foot down, up. The shifts are actually really hard and really fast, and I quite like that. And that's what's cool about these, is that they're so easily tunable. You can customize it to your own liking and get it to drive exactly how you want. And I've always liked automatic transmissions. Obviously I'd prefer a manual, but I've always liked autos with a bit of gear shock so that you kind of feel like it's actually doing something, you know. When it changes gears, you can feel it bang into the next gear. The other thing that impresses me is just how well it puts the power down. Second gear, foot to the floor. Absolutely no issues whatsoever. My car, the power level is quite fun, I suppose, where you can just go foot to the floor whenever you want. It makes, you know, good noise and whatever, and it gets going all right. And, you know, I've had no troubles overtaking people and everything, but you've got to still get a little bit of a wind-up happening. This thing, if you just wanted to get past anybody, you just plant your foot, you'll be past in seconds, you know. It is just unbelievable how quick it is. It is really rather quick, that's for sure. It's a great drive, it's comfortable, it's just a really good all-round car. Let's jump back into my 130i and take it through some corners and talk about the handling and power differences of these two cars. Obviously the 135 is faster and has a lot more modification potential. That particular one I reviewed was capable of making 600 horsepower, but is it a better car to drive? And obviously the 130i goes nowhere near as hard and doesn't accelerate quite the same, but naturally aspirated power delivery is something quite respectable, which is why me personally, if I wanted a car with more power, I'd just buy a car with a bigger engine. Now yes, it's going to use more fuel and you're not going to get the turbo noises, but I just think it makes for a more well-rounded driving experience, which is why in the 15 cars I've owned, every single one has been naturally aspirated, which might surprise a lot of people. Something else to consider, which unfortunately I couldn't demonstrate in this video because my car's manual and his car is automatic, but I did go and test drive a very rare 2010 N55 135i manual, and I was actually a bit disappointed. I have a few video clips of me driving it, which I'll show you now. Yeah, the gear ratios are so long. And it just means when you do shift, like the revs drop so much. There were quite a few things that I really didn't like. The gear ratios were really long. If we get to over 100 in second gear, this only gets to 90. Literally 90 k's an hour, and then I'm into third gear, which means that while it's not as fast, it feels faster because the revs, you know, I can go up to third, into fourth. It has a rhythm to it, you know. But if I conclude this video by saying that the lesser and in theory uglier 130i is better than the 135, I'm going to be killed. So I'll probably summarize it as, if you're going for an auto, definitely get the 135, because I feel like the turbo engine kind of suits the automatic transmission. But if you're looking for a manual, honestly, I would get the 130i, just because with a manual, traditionally it's more of a kind of backroad barnstormer type car that you bang through gears with, and the shorter gears and naturally aspirated engine I feel is just more suited to a manual transmission. But otherwise, the two cars are pretty much the same. Steering feels very similar, the ride quality is very similar. The Coupe looks a bit better, but I did prefer the interior on mine, just all black with the silver trim rather than the lemony coloured leather and so on. So there we go, that's my thoughts on the 130i, which I love, and the 135i, which is blisteringly fast and also very excellent to drive. Take of that what you will, and I will look forward to seeing you again next time.